ladies and gentlemen. He's back.
Couple people back in the studio. Let's do one at a time. Let's take the man on the phone.
Yeah, let's take the man on the phone.
That's right. None other than our man of the hour, Chip Brown. You know him from 104.9 The Horn, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. OrangeBloods.com, Heisman Trophy voter, and friend, my man, Chip. Welcome back to Laying Down the Law.
Hey, it's good to be back. And, I made a major change in the off season. I left OrangeBloods.com to go to HornsDigest.com on the Scout Network. So, I'm trying to keep people on their toes,
You know what? I did see that. My apologies. See, I got a little complacent, Chip Brown. However, the music fits your state. You hail from Michigan. And so we wanted to give you a little Slim Shady.
I like that.
I appreciate that.
Hey, man, well, the listeners haven't heard you on the show for a while. However, it's football season, college style, high school style, pro style, and you have had your hands on all of the above. So let's talk college football, Chip Brown. You cover, as you say, from the Horns Digest perspective, the University of Texas, and I know there are a lot of people. I know it's North Texas next week. Nonetheless, this is a new regime. Mack Brown actually going to be speaking in San Antonio Thursday at the Valero Alamo Bowl kickoff luncheon. So he is now doing the honorarium and things of that nature. Charlie Strong takes the helm. Your assessments, evaluations of this University of Texas football team?
Well, I think Charlie Strong has come in and just made a profound impression on these players. We'll see how it translates to the field. I think it will be really evident to everybody, especially on that defense. I feel like Charlie Strong likes his defense, and what's not to like, right? Malcolm Brown and Desmond Jackson at defensive tackle, those are probably a couple of future NFL players. Cedric Reed, same thing at defensive end, and Shiro Davis and Caleb Blewett at defensive end. I mean, they've got players. Jordan Hicks at linebacker, and then I think the player to watch is number 31, the freshman at safety, Jason Hall, 6'3", 207. Texas just hasn't had safeties like this, in part because Dwayne Aquina liked the safety and corner to be interchangeable, but they weren't, there wasn't a lot of physicality back there since Kenny Vaccaro left. And I think that's going to return because that's what Charlie wants. He wants strength right up the middle of the defense, a tackle, linebacker, and safety. And I think this kid, Jason Hall, has a chance to be special. And you're probably going to see a walk-on out there, too, at safety, and Dylan Haynes. And Charlie Strong's probably going to play a few walk-ons. He doesn't care about star rankings and that kind of stuff in recruiting. He cares about ball players. And Dylan Haynes, the son of former Texas defensive end John Haynes on that 83 defense, has been making plays all over the field.
Well, it makes a huge difference when you have that football background. As our co-host, the former All-Pro NFL quarterback Jeff Blake, his son, part of the St. Louis Rams, won a national championship with Auburn. Yes, when your dad can teach you day in and day out the insides and outs of football, I take that over what, unfortunately, us in the media would give a star to somebody and say, we think that he's this or that. I mean, it clearly is going to make a difference. And Charlie Strong, a more hands-on approach coach, clearly, defensive specialist. Again, defense wins championships. And if you keep the other team, Chip Brown, to 0, some way you can find a field goal when it's all said and done, or a safety. Defense can do it all. They can pitch a shutout and score for you, something the offense can't.
Well, and I love that Ced Reed called Charlie Strong right after Charlie got to Texas, and he said, I'm thinking about going pro. And Charlie Strong said, well, then we need to talk. You need to come to my office. And Ced Reed shows up, and Charlie's like, pulled up some film of Ced, and he said, see, this is no good. You're not ready here. You'll get devoured in the NFL there. This, your steps here, you don't have enough explosion here, your handwork here. He said, you can go, but you're not ready. I'd suggest you call Marcus Smith who just came into Louisville as a 3-star quarterback and left as the nation's sack leader and a first-round draft pick of the Philadelphia Eagles. And I said, how long was the meeting? He goes, not very long. It was short and sweet. And he said he called Marcus Smith, and Smith said, you're going to know way more than you know now, and he's going to get everything out of you. And Reed said, okay, I'm staying. And, they told him that he had a bad spring. They told him they expected a lot more, and Reed has come back, breathing fire. He's not going out. A lot of these players aren't going out like they were. And I think Mikel Thompson, who's going to be playing corner, he's moving from safety to corner. He's 6'2", 190, and just freak athletically. They're moving him to nickel corner. He said, at first it's rough, and you don't quite know where it's going, but then you realize he has a plan to everything, and I think that's going to be exciting to watch as this season gets going next week against North Texas.
We're talking with Chip Brown. You can hear him in the mornings, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on 104.9 The Horn up in Austin, Texas, part of Horns Digest as well. Chip, if you have a defense that I saw in the orange and white game is only improving, tell us now about the offense for the University of Texas that, Joe Bergeron is now gone. You have Jonathan Gray coming off an Achilles issue. You have a quarterback that, could be seen as injury prone, to say the least. You have a guy in Jay Hurd that's coming in from a heralded North Texas program. I would say, in your assessment, because you've been there day in and day out, that offensive line has really got to help the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean that's the mystery enigma side of the football. If David Ash can stay healthy, which, as you point out, he has not been able to do, really dating back to high school. If he can stay healthy for 13 games, and everybody really on that side of the football can stay healthy, then I think they have a chance with David Ash. I mean, we know he can make the throws. We know he's got some ability to run out of trouble, and that's all they want him to do. Just get out of trouble and slide. Get out of trouble and slide. Don't try to prove how tough you are. And they're going to use a lot of misdirection. They're going to use a lot of two tight end. It's going to look a lot like Brian Harson's offense. A lot of motion before the snap. A lot of boots, a lot of nakeds. Just a lot of misdirection to help cover up the offensive line, and they think they've got enough playmakers to go down the field 7, 8, 12 play drives, keep the defense on the sideline, and now it's a matter of time. I mean, it's Sean Watson is going to have final say over the play calling. You probably know him, Foss,
yes.
and he's a really good teacher. I think David Ash has responded better maybe to Sean Watson as a teacher as opposed to maybe the tough sarcasm Saban approach of Major Applewhite, and so we'll see how that plays out on the field as well.
Absolutely. And Chip Brown, you gave me a scenario that our co-host Jeff Blake talked about when he went to the Baltimore Ravens and he had a heart-to-heart one-on-one with Ray Lewis. And Jeff, I mean, does this sound similar to what you always mention about Ray? What did Ray say to you?
Definitely. I
love that story.
When I got there, and I was in Cincinnati before for a long period of time, and we would lose a lot of games. Put up tons of points and still lose games 40-60, 42, and I got to Baltimore. Ray Lewis, he pulled me over to the side and said, "Look, Jeff, this is what we need. All we need is 13 points, and we got the game. We're going to win. Just 13 points. I'm like, that's it? I can do that in my sleep. That's easy. He's like, look, just don't turn the ball over and put our defense in a bad position, and we got the rest. That's it.
Yeah.
I love it.
And that's Chip Brown. I mean, literally, what I think people forget about Charlie Strong is he just sent 3 Louisville Cardinals to the National Football League in the first round.
How many did Texas have last year?
Not one drafted. So when you talk,
forget about the first round.
Yeah, forget about the round, Chip Brown. See, this when you people may lie about facts, but facts don't lie. Clearly your program, if you're the unit, I'm from Texas. I mean, I'm from Texas. We think we have the greatest high school football on the planet. And we argue with California and Florida and Pennsylvania and Ohio and everything like that. And you have supposedly your flagship institution, A&M say, well, maybe it's us, because we did send some folks in the first round, and you know what I'm saying. So let's not tell Charlie Strong he doesn't have the ability to do some things from a coaching standpoint, even on the offensive side of the ball.
That's 1 year out of many.
He told that defense. They looked at the tape of the BYU game, and he said that can never happen again, ever. That's not Texas. Texas is, and everything that Charlie builds his program on is toughness and togetherness. Toughness and togetherness. So when he comes to Texas and starts talking about putting the T back in Texas, those were his 2 mantra words throughout his coaching career, and they both begin with T, so it was a natural for him to throw in teamwork as well and trust. But that's what it's all about. And he said, you all can never let that happen again. And I'm pretty sure that BYU game will be a statement game from this football team, or at least Charlie will want it to be, based on just how embarrassing that was. Because he said he pulled 10 plays of every player on the team, and they were bad plays. And he called them all in individually in May. And he said, is this you, or is this someone else wearing your number? Because if it's you, then I need to know now, so that the shock factor when we get to fall camp, will not give me a heart attack. Because if that's you, I need to know. And every one of those players, so they walked out of there with a chip on their shoulder, as big as a helmet. And now we'll see. Talk is cheap, but I think there's been a culture change and a mindset change in the program.
Talking with Chip Brown from 104.9 The Horn. Go ahead. It looks like we have some questions still for you, Jeff, or is it going to be our man Spencer Conley?
I just had a comment,
sure.
Steve.
Go ahead.
I still, that's 1 year out of many, and I don't think that you compare Louisville to what Texas has done in the past. That is the last year of Charlie Strong and his ability to coach Division I college football.
And I think it's because it is Louisville and not a team like a Texas that he was able to accomplish the things that he accomplished at that university. Just like, you saying East Carolina had 3 guys that go in the first round, but the University of Texas didn't have any get drafted. That says a lot for what you have done for that program.
Oh, absolutely. I give mad props to Charlie Strong.
Yes. So if he can take what he did at Louisville and bring that to Texas, and next year if Texas has 3 first-round draft picks, I guarantee you.
Which they should.
I guarantee you Texas will have 10 games or more that they've won. If they got that kind of development.
Chip Brown, what do you think? I mean, you've been around the Texas program ad nauseum. I mean, night, day, night. They try to bar you from coming in. You got in anyway. You see, what's the real change between now and then?
Well, I think the defense is going to be locked in. I think the question is, there's a significant drop-off at quarterback from David Ash to Tyrone Swoops and Gerard Hurd, just because Gerard did not go through the spring. So everything he's learned has been over the summer without the coaches around every day and in fall camp. And that's not where Texas wants to be right now. Now, David Ash, if he can make this thing go, and I think he can, he's got a good running game. They got they got a plan, and they've got a couple of really talented receivers, I think, and Marcus Johnson and a kid no one's heard of yet, Armonte Foreman. I think he'll be a surprise player as a freshman. Deshae Johnson, as Charlie says, it's up to him. It's day to day. But they do have talent, and I think that if they can get the big boys up front going in the right direction, which Joe Wickline from Oklahoma State is known to do, then I think this team could win 9, maybe even 10 games. But it's front loaded. You get BYU in week 2, UCLA in week 3, you get Baylor in week 5, and OU in week 6. I mean, it is just bam, bam, bam. And Charlie has told all the top recruits who are still uncommitted, just wait and see our product before you make a decision. I think Charlie feels confident. He's betting on himself, and now it's about getting out there and putting it all into action. They need confidence. They need some good things to happen early, and I think this thing could get pretty could get strong, headed in the right direction.
Absolutely. Again, we're talking with Chip Brown. You can hear him every morning. Chip and Chad, 104.9 The Horn, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., and also with Horns Digest. Chip, so 9 or 10 games. Does he keep the people? And it doesn't matter to me because he doesn't do it for just for the fans. I heard a very interesting comment from my former teammate, Jason Garrett. They coach for the players. It's about the players and the folks in the locker room. This team has to start just like any car that's at a standstill, first gear. And the idea is to get to fifth gear as quickly as possible and up to speed. He comes in with 9+ wins. I think that's mission accomplished for first gear moving forward. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, they won 8 games last year. If he can get it to 9 games with UCLA on the schedule, then in BYU, then I think everybody and the way they play is going to be the thing. I mean, when people try to pin down Charlie about what's a successful season, is it 9 wins, is it 10 wins? He says, you know what? I just want to see a team that plays with passion, plays together, plays with excitement, plays with emotion, and gets better every week. And if the fans see that, I think they'll be happy. I mean, they want to see toughness. They just don't want to see a team that's capable of getting blown out at BYU or blown out at the Cotton Bowl by a mediocre Oklahoma team that goes to the Insight.com Bowl. They want to see toughness all the time, and I think that's what they're going to see.
Absolutely. Well, Chip, we certainly appreciate it, man. North Texas, and North Texas has done fairly well as of
won
late.
9 games last year,
yes.
Went to a bowl game, won the bowl game.
Right. So, again, people, you can't live in the past. Just like I tell people, it's not your dad's San Antonio Spurs. These teams are getting better in the state of Texas. Coaching is coming along, and people want to play in the state. And there's people that are coming from out of state, in-state. And I think, not just for North Texas, but UTSA down here with the Larry Coker as a national championship coach. You got Texas State between the two. I think this is, and of course, cannot forget SEC's Texas A&M. There's a lot of good football. TCU, Sam Houston State, University of Houston. They're sending people, and even West Texas A&M. Chip, do you ever think that you'd ever see a team from Canyon, Texas, send it? You think Texas Tech, but West Texas A&M. People going from Northwestern there and doing a lot of different things, just even in a school like that.
Yeah, and you mentioned Joe Bergeron earlier. He's at Texas A&M Commerce with the staff that had all the success at West Texas A&M. So it is. There's a lot of good football, and that's. I'm going to be at the South Carolina A&M game this Thursday, and can't wait for that. See what the Aggies have. Kevin Sumlin without Johnny Manziel, his first year with his own quarterback in 7 years, his own recruited quarterback. So I think it's going to be a really fun college football season with the football playoffs. I think it's going to be a wild and woolly ride and a lot of fun as usual.
Well, listen, we'd love to have you queued up when you can give us some insight on Sunday mornings. And, I'll get a chance to see you. Travel safe over to Columbia, South Carolina. I think that's going to be a terrific matchup. I think the Gamecocks definitely at home and what they have an advantage over the Aggies. Nonetheless, you have to play 4 quarters, and it was a terrific finish last night with the Texans. So you just never know who's going to win until it hits zeros and there's a 4 in the middle of that scoreboard that says final.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Hey,
right.
Thank you guys.
Absolutely. Chip Brown, appreciate you, son. See you soon. And you can hear him every Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on 104.9 The Horn up in Austin, Texas, and all your technologically sound apparatuses. Also catch him at Horns Digest. We're going to take a sidebar and come back. A lot to talk about. We got a full house right here on Laying Down the Law.